Good afternoon from Prague. I have 2 p.m. now, so good evening to Korea, good morning to United States, to Nevada. It's great honor for me to introduce this session, which is related to Europe, and it's a big honor to introduce the keynote speech from Bartosz Sokoliński.
Hello, hi. Good evening, Korea. Good afternoon, Europe, and good morning, US. Okay, I'm starting. So. I will talk about Poland innovations and about industry. But I would like to start from short introduction of myself. I'm Bartosz, and I'm working in Industrial Development Agency. Now you can see our first logotype. We changed it a few years ago. And the Industrial Development Agency is state-owned company which was set up 30 years ago to help Polish big companies, state-owned companies, to compete on the free market. But I will say about it in the future. It's our new logo. We have a few departments to say a few words about our company. We are holding, so we have in our group more than 100 companies, but to be honest, the 60 of them is quite good. As I said, we was set up to restructurize big companies, so we have a lot of companies with different conditions. Now we employed more than 12,000 people. Our revenue is about 500 million USD and capitalization close to 2 billion USD. So what is important? We have big companies like Polregio in our group. Polregio is the biggest Polish railway company. We have Stocznia Gdańsk and GSG Towers, Kriotek, the biggest Polish space company. So we are quite a big state-owned corporation in Poland. We are managing special economic zones. What is interesting in our sub-zone, we have the biggest Korean investment in last years, LG Chem, the producer in Poland and of car batteries, the biggest one in Europe. Make innovations, to help Polish companies to make innovations. As you know, and everybody knows that innovation is very popular word in business and economy now. So we started to make them. But I would like to let's try to understand our past. The picture you can see is one of the most popular picture from 80s, and it is. It was made by Chris Niedenthal, where Polish army went to streets and was fighting with Polish citizens. He makes the photo with apocalypse time movie in the background. It is very known in Poland. So we started to
Sorry.
I lost my vision, as I see, but I'm here. I will continue. Sorry for that.
Okay.
This is our roundtable. So it was a meeting between opposition and Communist Party in 80s, and then our democracy started. So. This guy you probably know, it's like Walesa, our hero, which started the revolution in Poland. As we can see in economy, we can see that our employment rate started to rise in 90s. And we have in 1992 about 15% of unemployment rate. Then in 1988, our average monthly wages started to rise. And what was really not bad? It was inflation. We had inflation up to 100% in 90s, but we kill it before 2021. So Polish was unmodern country, really unmodern country with no modern economy and free market, and we had to change it. As we can see at Poland now, we can see the first thing that we are the biggest country in Central European Union with biggest market. We have about 30% share of total GDP in CE. Our prosperity has been growing since 28 years, so we are richer and richer. Poland has the potential to double its GDP by 2030. So it's very important. And what is I think very good in Poland that since 2004, Poland has achieved one of the highest growth rates in EU. So we have 4% of growing. We are closing the gap stably between our economy and Western economy. As you can see, the gap is not very big now. So we are fighting to really have a smaller gap. So the next thing, which is very important, that since joining the EU, we we are not developing country. We are now in rich country network with Korea and US and other countries. So we, as you can see, we have rising and rising, but unfortunately, our economy and our place in EU of GDP per capita is just 22. So it's we have a big gap to achieve. To achieve the aspirational scenarios, Poland could focus on key areas. The first area, we have to close productivity gap. As you can see, we have in Poland not as good productivity as Western Europe and Western world or Eastern too world has. So we have to close this gap. The second thing is boost our investment, and I mean investment, foreign investment, and our interior investment also. So we have to invest more money. We have to set up more domestic and international funds. The next thing is increasing our innovation. I'm working in innovation area, but I know that our score in World Innovation Index is really bad, and we have to change it. And of course, we have to think about our skilled workers, about our universities, and which I will say it in the future, and robotization, what is important. Support business, enhance public services, and protect the environment. What is very important for me is Polish energy mix. We are very inefficient in this area. As we can see by on Polish biggest companies, here you have 500 biggest companies list, and you can see that we have foreign, private, and state and communal companies, and our foreign and private companies are rising, but and state are on a stable 30-40 companies in the biggest, and the revenues of companies is rising. But when we see the 21st companies, we can see that first we have most of them are state-owned, and we have really don't have producers there. The only two producers I found is Volkswagen Poznań, a foreign automotive company, and I think FCA Poland, so automotive Italian company Fiat. So we have, of course, oil and gas. We have, of course, insurance, retail, but we have a thing about industry and about production. In my office, we've made a meeting, me and my managers, and we thought about innovations in Poland. And we have just 10 thoughts. We called it our innovation decalogue. So first thing is, innovations don't mean only money. Of course, money is very important. We won't make big progress without money. But as you can see, at Global Innovation Index, the countries at the first places are not the most are the richest countries in the world. So Poland is now I think we are unfortunately 42, but as we see up of the list, we can see that there are a lot of companies very, very rich, but not the richest. And when we will compare it with the richest country in the world, the list won't be the same. So probably there is something more than only money which is important in the innovations. The second thought, Gaussian function is roughless. So, of course, everybody know Gaussian curve. So what I mean? I mean that we have the potential of innovativity. In Poland, the same as in Korea, the same is in the US. So people are innovative. But do you know any Polish innovative product? Probably no. So in Poland, something doesn't work very well. Third thought, we cannot talk about innovation in isolation from the market. So we have to think about market, about money. Of course, we have a lot of innovative products, services in our universities, but it's impossible to earn money by them. Thought 4, innovations make money. As I said, we have to think about money. Thought 5, sometimes it's too early for some innovations. We have a lot of words, examples of that. We have Listen Up, which was really the same as products of Apple. We have Xerox, which had firstly Windows system. We have Friendster, which was very, very similar to Facebook. And we have Newton, which was first, then iPad. But the time for new products came in the future. Thinking about innovation is thinking about the future. Absolutely, we think that now we are thinking about future. I call everybody in our companies that not everything has been invited, and I don't want to hear it's impossible to do something. 8, we have to build the system. We have to build something new. 9, there are not innovations without mistakes. We have to learn it in Poland because we don't like to say that we did any mistake. And I think nobody likes it, but we have to learn it. And the last one, there are not innovations without a risk, and we have to learn it, our government also. So, of course, making innovations and working in innovations in not to ask innovations for tomorrow. And what we think we have to do, we have to innovate. We have to think about robotization, which help us to make our economy more competitive. As we can see here, we have world robotics statistics, and it's first time that Poland is on the list of 15 largest market 2019. Of course, you in Korea had about installed about 28,000 of robots. Poland only 2.6, but it's our first step. I hope that we will go up and up with this statistic. But unfortunately, seeing at other statistic, so robot density, we are above the line, above the world line, which is about the work line, which is 113, we have only 38 robots on our 10,000 employees. So we have to change it in the future. The second thing, we have to find our niches. We have to think what we can do in the future and which market and which industry can be useful and competitive for us. So let's see this short film. Probably every heavy players of video games know this film because it's Polish production. Cyberpunk is a new production of our CD Projekt Red, Polish biggest gaming company, which is very known in the world for The Witcher. I think that everybody who plays games know The Witcher and will know the Cyberpunk. This is our second company seeing by the capitalization on our stock market, and you can see that we have a lot of companies on our main stock at Warsaw Stock Exchange market, and as we can see a Newconet, it's a small Polish second market, second stock. We have 31 gaming companies. So we are one of the biggest company in Europe with gaming companies. And we have to use this energy for being best companies of gaming industry. The second thing, we have to change our energy mix because we are to be honest, we are coal energy now, and we have to change it. We are thinking and we are integrate our offshore wind energy, and we will install a lot of windmills on Baltic Sea. We are working on it, and we are believe that it's our new branch of industry. We count that it's about 70,000 new jobs in Poland, which will be made by this industry. So by 2030. The next market is a space market. We have a lot of very good companies in this market, about 300 now. I know it's a very small market in Poland, but we are growing and growing. We are working as industrial development agency 4 years with this market, and we see every year the progress. So the next thing, I think it's important in energy mix idea too. Poland is the biggest producer of electric buses and hybrid buses in Europe. We have the biggest, not no Polish, but Spain company Solaris. We have Scania, Volvo, MAN, and two Polish Ursus Bus and Autosa. And Industrial Development Agency bought new bus from our business partner. It's prototype of new electric car, and we are starting to producing it. This is small one. We have 3 prototypes, and we will build our company by 2023. And what is important, that Poland is also the biggest producer of car batteries. It's because of foreign companies as LG Chem, but we have potential to grow in this area too. The next thing is our buildings, and it's our condominiums. We have really big progress to do here. We have to build a lot of flats, a lot of buildings for people. And now we are working on our new company for modules houses. So, to sum up, we are maybe not at the beginning of our road to the rich countries, but at half, and we are working to do our best. And I think that it's good to learn from Korea and other countries, but you know, we are open to do business, and we know how to do innovations. Thank you very much. I'm Bartosz. Here you have my email address. You would like to contact me. Thank you very much.
So thank you to Bartosz Sokolinski for his speech.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And now I have to let continue Mr. Carlos Cardillo from the biggest city in the world, the Reno, Nevada, United States. So Carlos, it's your turn now. Carlos, please switch the mic on.
Yeah. Yes, I got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I have to say I have the opportunity to be in Poland in February at the end of this year, at the end of February in this year. And I visit Gdansk, Warsaw, Lublin, different universities, research center. And what Dr. Sokolinski asked as a question in the presentation, are Polish innovative? I will say yes, very much. They have a very high level of research and development, and it was amazing to see. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone that is out here. My name is Carlos Cardillo. I am the director of the Nevada Center for Applied Research at the University of Nevada, Reno, the biggest little city in the world, as it was introduced. The center is part of the Research and Innovation Division at the university, but it's also sponsored by the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development. Our goal at the center, NCAR, is to facilitate access, to be a portal for industry to access university resources, equipment, labs.
Carlos, excuse me for the interruption. Could you make it full screen, the presentation?
Make it full screen. Let me see if I can.
The presentation.
It's not full screen?
Now we can see the desktop as well.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me see if I can reshare this.
Very nice mountains.
Okay, sorry about that. Let me see if I can reshare this.
Yeah, try to F5.
You don't see the presentation now?
Not
How about now?
Still, we have the next slide in the picture.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and try again. I'm sorry about that.
And don't worry.
Okay, let's try one more time and see if this is better.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And sorry about, I have two screens and all of a sudden things change. So, as I mentioned, the center is basically a portal for industry to access university resources. And we like to work under what I like to call the triple helix approach, which is collaboration between industry, academia, and government. And to that end, one of the activities that we have created among many other disciplines in biotechnology, advanced manufacturing, and robotics is the Intelligent Mobility Initiative. This is what I'm presenting to you, the user-centered open innovation living lab ecosystem that we have created for connected and autonomous vehicle in the state of Nevada. The Intelligent Mobility Initiative is essentially a coalition of partners that are making this possible. This is, as I mentioned, industry, academia, and government, and we have a representation here of these different entities. And by doing this, we were able to kind of execute the different aspects of the Intelligent Mobility Initiative. Now, in addition to that, this is driven by the university, driven by faculty members, and more importantly, driven by students that are under these faculty members. And we were able to create this multidisciplinary approach in which we have people from the geography department, robotics, computer science, social psychology, civil engineering, and information technology. As we have new components, because this is an open innovation and any company or entity is welcome to come and try a new approach here. We add these disciplines as they are corresponding to what we're trying to do at the moment. What I'll do is I'm going to present you a short video that was shot by the BBC. This gives a snapshot of what intelligent mobility is, and after this, I'm going to get into more details on some of the different aspects that are going to be mentioned here. So I hope you enjoy this video.
There's been great strides made in self-driving technology over the past decade or so, but the thing about autonomy is that it's often tested in bright, clear conditions. The real world is much more distracting. In fact, it's not just darkness that's difficult for existing autonomous technologies. Whether it's through rain, snow, or just far up ahead on the road, there's a lot self-driving vehicles struggle to see. Important work is taking place at the University of Reno, Nevada, that's attempting to solve that problem, making autonomy more intelligent. And it all begins here, on the corner of 15th and Virginia.
So at that corner, we have the LiDAR sensor. That LiDAR sensor used to be on the autonomous vehicle, but we move it from the vehicle to the intersection, so it can track each pedestrian here, each vehicle here.
What kind of things is it picking up? Is it recognizing who people are, or?
No, it only recognizes this is a pedestrian or this is a vehicle. It does not recognize who the person is.
Think of this intersection as providing more eyes to an autonomous vehicle. It could detect a threat and communicate that to a car heading in its direction, telling it to slow down, beware. So what these sensors are doing, in essence, is giving autonomous cars more eyes along the road.
Yes.
So they just know more about what's coming up ahead of them.
Exactly. So no black spots.
Part of the same program is this connected car, a modified Lincoln that can not only drive itself around, but also communicate with other vehicles and components in the city, signaling its intentions to others.
The hardware that you see is pretty similar to what you're going to see in most autonomous vehicles, if not all of them. Where we really distinguish ourselves is in the software. So our research focus is on what I call social intelligence. We are trying to build machines that understand people and understand human social behavior and can predict what other people are going to do and then act appropriately. It's a skill that humans have. We navigate driving effortlessly, even though we can't read other people's minds. And it's a skill that computers are going to have if they're ever going to drive cars in the world with the rest of us.
And then there's that challenge of making the technology work in difficult conditions. Inspired by an earlier project to help drones see in the dark, the team at the university's Autonomous Robots Lab has combined LiDAR, radar, and cameras that use advanced image recognition. Not only does this dramatically improve what the car can comprehend, it's also pretty cheap. Once that technology is safe and ready, the plan is to deploy it on electric buses like this one. But until then, the team plans to use the autonomous tech to gather large amounts of data in preparation for a self-driving future. This bus, made by California-based Proterra, is already out on Reno's roads, but right now with a more traditional type of driver.
It's not autonomous yet. The idea is to, at some point, focus on that project. However, right now we're focusing on data collection for what we call the Living Lab and data collection that is going to be used for the Intelligent Mobility Program.
For the foreseeable future, these buses will gather data for the Living Lab program in Reno, a city that perhaps knows more about what's going on its streets than almost any other city in the world.
Okay, so
There's been great.
with the video, I'm going to go over some of the areas we have seen. And the first component that I'm going to talk about is the electric bus instrumentation. These buses are owned by the Regional Transportation Commission of the Washoe County, and they allow us to instrument these Proterra buses. And basically, we have a fusion of sensors that we install in these buses, and even though they are being driven by professional drivers, the idea is to have these collecting data throughout the living lab, and we get information on how these sensors will behave, whether it's the LiDAR, the cameras, the GPS, on different days of the week, week of the month, month of the year, and more importantly, on different seasons. The way a sensor will behave with the snow on the ground, which happens in Reno in winter, is going to be different from the way the sensor may behave on summer with 100 or 110 degrees that is also happening in Reno. So the idea is to have this information collected as much as we can, and essentially use these as the ammunition, so to speak, for making these buses autonomous in the near future. This is, of course, the same group of sensors that we use in the autonomous car you have seen on the video, and we focus on smart localization, the path planning, and what it was mentioned as a social intelligence. We believe this is an extremely important component for safety and efficiency as the information is being gathered. And what we do with this vehicle also is to collect information as well on the living lab and create these high resolution maps that can be used for not only the self-driving car, but also for any connected vehicle that will actually use the living lab. So that is the area that we're moving in this particular research that we're doing. Now, the next step is the connected infrastructure. That is what you have seen also on the video. We have series of intersection, more than a mile, that every intersection has at least 2 LiDAR sensors, and we have DSRC short-range communication for collecting continuous 24/7 data, and the goal is to use this data to predict traffic and provide transportation-related stakeholders like the Department of Transportation, the city planners, the Regional Transportation Commission, and all the companies working with us to allow them to find solutions to optimize the real-time mobility and any future planning that we want to do. Here you see a snapshot of an aerial shot of the corridor that has been instrumented going from the north side of the middle of campus all the way to downtown Reno. This is going also over a highway, one of the main highways in Reno, and basically every intersection here, except the ones at the highway, are owned by the Regional Transportation Commission and the city. The ones that are on the highway are owned by the Nevada Department of Transportation. So the permits, the complexity is something that we did in purpose so we can have these different entities working with us, and also we can have a student population crossing the street and navigating the intersections. And also in downtown area, we have the regular citizens and maybe tourists, casino goers, also going through the intersections at the living lab. And again, we like to have this complexity so we learn from this connectivity, and we learn from these different populations that are moving around. In terms of the communication infrastructure, what we did is to integrate the fiber optic network from the city of Reno with the fiber optic network on campus. And by doing that, we set up also on campus high throughput computer systems that essentially are receiving all the information from the connected vehicles, receiving information from the intersections, and doing the necessary real-time processing to send that back to the grid, so to speak, and start working on the different applications that will focus again on safety and efficiency. At the same time, with our partner Switch has in outside Reno on the industrial park, one of the largest, if not the largest, data co-location in the world. They are next door to the Tesla Gigafactory, and they are housing our high-performance computer system where all the massive data lake that is being collected is gonna go to this high-performance computing system, and we are gonna do additional analysis and additional data mining to learn and to create new applications for this particular area. In addition to these components that you have seen that are essentially technical components, what we have also in the Living Lab, working with the Geography Department, is the creation of surveys, focus groups that we do to evaluate the socioeconomic impact of this. We ask questions on the surveys about travel behavior, perceptions, safety and congestion, self-reported knowledge and familiarity of the different terms that we use in the Living Lab. And the idea is to get all this information along with demographic data to make sure that in a way there is some type of acceptance of the technology, so we don't move forward aggressively on creating something that it won't have a good reception by the public, by the students, by the faculty members, by the Reno population in general, and the state of Nevada. Now, as a second component that is not highly technical, so to speak, is the legal and regulatory implication. In Reno, we have the National Judicial College, one of the largest entities in the country, in the United States, that basically they are in charge of teaching and training judges across the country on different areas, different aspects. One of the main ones for them is traffic and traffic-related legal issues. In this partnership, what we are trying to do is to assess the social psychological process in assessing liability for autonomous and connected vehicles. We did an extensive literature review. This is in collaboration with the legal studies group at the university and also social psychology group at the University of Nevada, Reno. And then we conducted a focus group with more than 30 sitting judges across the country to understand what knowledge they have and experience on autonomous vehicle legal cases and to determine their concern and need for training. Now, back in October 15, we have a symposium that brought together more than 70 people from the legal areas in the country, including judges and some of our stakeholders, to basically talk about how automated vehicle will interact with the law and the judiciary. And during this meeting, we created a steering committee that will be formed by agencies, industry, judges, and academics that are part of this Living Lab that I'm presenting to you. Why? Because we want to start creating these questions from the stakeholders on what if my sensor fail? What if the communication system is the one creating an accident? What if there are too many near misses that are at the verge of an accident, and how the judiciary and how the law will interact when this accident occurs? Now, in addition to this package that I'm showing you of different components that are part of the Living Lab in the city of Reno, in the state of Nevada, the Living Lab being this series of intersection, more than 1 mile of connectivity, we are also doing a standalone intersection with LiDAR sensors that is serving as an engineering service to the Regional Transportation Commission, and we use portable LiDAR for this type of intersection. We have 2 standalone intersections in Reno, and the idea will be to collect enough information and see if there is a need for additional connectivity to create another mile-long grid that will have all this connectivity along the city. In the south of Nevada, in the city of Henderson, next to Las Vegas, also we have 3 standalone intersections that are fully functional, and we are collecting information, we are collecting data to evaluate traffic, and we just use the roadside LiDAR, and the data is being collected for the past 9 months to a year, and it's a rich source of information that we have on how to predict traffic behavior. Another use of the portable LiDAR, we are doing this on the US Parkway to assess traffic, but more importantly, horse crossing. So basically, we're using the LiDAR to assess and determine when wild horses, which is very common to see this in Nevada, are crossing the road. This could be used for any type of animals. And what it does is when the areas that are known for heavy traffic with wildlife is detected that the route is being used by horses at the moment, the system will send information to connected vehicles or to a light that basically is going to warn non-connected vehicles to inform that there is a horse crossing or some dangers ahead. So either an autonomous vehicle will reduce the speed or the driver of a connected vehicle will reduce the speed. Now, the roadside LiDAR has different applications. We collect data, as I mentioned, 24/7, and these are 9 of the basic applications we are creating to understand lane and crosswalk based on multimodal traffic, speed studies, queues, length and delay, identification of jaywalker, near crash identification, running red lights events, and so on. So this is very important set of information that the city planners and the traffic managers use and need in order to create a safer environment. Now, this is a more recent development, and what we are doing is we created a program that is going to be a pilot program within the Living Lab between the Regional Transportation Commission, a company in Berkeley, California, that is called Important, and this company developed an artificial intelligence application for vulnerable road users that is used on cell phones and on vehicles. And of course, in partnership with the university and the Nevada Center for Applied Research. The goal on this pilot is to develop a project using our autonomous vehicle testbed and a fleet of 10 of the electric buses from the Regional Transportation Commission to use this application for VRU for safety reasons and to detect when a vehicle, any of these 10 buses or the autonomous vehicle, will be too close to a jaywalker or too close to a pedestrian that will require either the driver of the bus to have a warning telling them to slow down or to brake in emergency, or the autonomous vehicle will actuate the brake or reduce the speed because there are a number of pedestrians crossing. So this is target for January, and we are planning to get started around January or February on this upcoming year. Now, finally, what the center is doing too, we became part of the Architect ECA 2030, which is a grant that was from the Horizon 2020 European Union. The university is the only non-European partner, and we are working in collaboration with series of more than 9 countries and 17 stakeholders between industry and academia to develop on our side. Our goal is to, on this EU project, to develop standards for the software and hardware in autonomous vehicles. We're using our test bed, and our role will be using the Living Lab and the autonomous car to develop use cases and requirements for future European Union standards, a standard on the automated vehicles. And so why we do this partnership? This partnership is basically essential for us because we strongly believe that international collaboration is something that we need, is a must, because there will be no silver bullet on the development of autonomous, connected, electric vehicles. We need to learn from each other, from the different countries, from the different entities, and from the large number of sensors and technology that is out there, and the lack of particular standards that are ruling how connected vehicle will work on different cities, states, countries, and continents. So this is a crucial learning that we like to be part of, and we are doing that. We are trying to start our solid partnership also with the Seoul National University, and we believe that the Living Lab and the development that is being done in Korea essentially will create a solid partnership and will allow us to learn from each other from the different experiences we are creating. So I'm going to stop here. I don't know if we are opening for questions, but here is my contact information, my email, and the web address for the Nevada Center for Applied Research. I will be more than welcome to answer emails to talk about potential partnership or any question that may happen after this presentation. So I want to thank the organizers for allowing me to show what we are developing here in Reno, Nevada, and the state in general. And it was an honor for me to be part of this group. So thank you very much.
So thank you, Carlos, for your presentation. It's very interesting for us as well here in Europe. And what is very interesting in this, after this keynote, is presentation, and the keynote was from the youngest city in this part, and now we can start the presentation from the oldest city in this block. It's from Greece city of Thessaloniki, and this city was established in 315 before Christ. So it's the very ancient and very old city, and it's a big honor for me to give a speech to Ioannis Salmatsidis from IT Center of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. So, Ioannis, it's your turn now.
Thank you, Victor.
You're welcome.
Very, very nice introduction. So, hi, I'm Ioannis Salmatsidis. I'm the IT manager of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki in Greece. I'm really honored to participate in GSDV 2020. Thank you, Seoul National University, for giving me the opportunity. So the presentation is going to be on the impact of COVID-19 on Greek universities and opportunities for, let's say, further campus digital transformation. Sort of the agenda, I'm going to give you some facts on e-learning, about my university, on e-exams, the impact on student mobility, not only in my university, but also in Europe and Greece as well. I'm going to give you the impact on centralized IT. I'm an IT person, so I'm going to give you the IT perspective. And what was the situation in other Greek higher education institutions, at the e-government sector, and I'll finish up with some conclusions and the way forward. Well, the pandemic proved just that true change happens in deep crisis, and let us see why. The timeline briefly, in the beginning of March, as in other European countries and worldwide, it was decided that all educational establishments in Greece will be suspended initially for the first 14 days. The very next day, our university senate decided that all classes move to online. That was an easy decision, so to speak, because e-learning was already here. The classes were offered in a, let's say, blended environment. And then in March 20th, we got an extension of this initial suspension for the next days, and then a further extension in April. Practically the whole spring semester was offered in an online basis. And then in the beginning of May, we had this discussion, a very heated discussion with lots of arguments between the members of the Senate, what is going on with the exams, and then we decided and took this very bold decision that all exams will be online. That was completely new for us. And then based on the successful, let's say, ending of the spring semester, that was an easy decision. The Senate decided that the fall semester is going to be hybrid as well. But let me give you some background facts for Greece, where almost in a 10-year recession, financial crisis with high unemployment rate and continuous brain drain. And because of that, we have low education expenditures. For Greece, it's 7% as a percentage of the total government expenditure in comparison with the 11% on the average for across OECD countries. And because of that, we have a quite high student-to-professor ratio, 27, which is very important not only for the amphitheater, but for e-learning purposes as well. And of course, the closures have impact not only in terms of learning, but have far-reaching economic and societal consequences. That is a closed-loop situation that feeds back to the financial recession. And some facts about spring semester on e-learning. As I mentioned, the face-to-face courses were cancelled. They had to move online. Only some small part didn't go through. Some labs, some clinics of the medical school, some field exercises, all this took place in late June so that we finish up the semester gracefully. Faculty was provided with an assortment of tools. Some of them proved too intrusive for them or technologically demanding. Cloud-based solutions were already here for at least a couple of years, like Google or Microsoft solutions. But during the early days of the lockdown, proven unstable, probably you experienced a similar behavior. Hiccups then disappeared by end of April. Students were faced with all sorts of alternatives like School for Business, Google Meet, Zoom, Big Blue Button. They needed to catch up, but bandwidth, it wasn't an issue for them. You just need 1 megabit per second so to follow lectures. So they were just using their either laptops or their smartphones. At that time, there was no additional training, room for training. So we just provided some webinars or some wiki pages and instructions. So this resulted in a help desk flooded with phone calls and emails. Now, online assessment is a trickier thing. It never happened before in full extent, so we had to establish a new exam board. It was comprised by specialized faculty from the computer science department or the engineering, and some technology administrative staff had to come in. We had to come up with new data protection policies so that students had to opt in through the campus student information system for the new terms. The new thing, the video supervised exams, this meant that you had quizzes on the learning management system plus a video supervising solution like Zoom or Skype for Business. And for that reason, we had to reconsider the whole thing in terms of assessment. For example, the test format, the duration had to be smaller. We had to implement closed type questions. And all these best practices and recommendations had to be circulated among faculty and students top down. We considered to change the grading scale as in other institutions from the 1 to 10, which is the current scale, to pass-fail, but it was abandoned due to the risk of historic inequalities. Possible, we're not sure, we're speculating. The students had to use their institutional user account for security, but there were some professors, let's say some pioneers, that also implemented additional measures such as Safe Exam Browser or matching, IP matching between Zoom and Moodle. For the average, I would say these are quite demanding in implementing. In terms of e-proctoring, and I'm talking about commercial solutions, they were considered too disruptive. They were not employed due to privacy concerns, not to mention high costs. Now, for some faculty, I would say that taking an online paper-based exam in front of a camera, it was considered a quite safe solution. In that case, you are missing the auto-evaluation features of an LMS. And the protocol in case of indications of exam cheating, be careful, I'm not talking about evidences, but just indications. The protocol prescribed that you had to take an online one-to-one oral exam with your professor. And in order to cater for peak performance, we had to, for example, simultaneous users of the order of more than 4,000 people on the LMS platform. Then we had to do some scheduling between departments, and this practically meant an additional burden for the IT center. Now, given these facts, here are the statistics for the spring semester. Practically, the majority of the courses were offered online, 96%, with some exceptions, as I said. So in June, the exams were in June, and later in July for the medical school. The majority of courses was offered through Moodle quizzes. Most of the faculty used this type of Moodle quizzes. Some of them used other types like Google Forms or Microsoft Teams forms. And practically, we had only less than 2% of technical issues during this the whole exam period. Only 33 of the exams had to be rescheduled due to a denial of service attack. And based on this successful experience of the previous semester, in September, it was a piece of cake decision. Practically, we didn't experience any technical issues. Everything ran smoothly. And for up to September, the whole thing was offered by a monolithic installation of Moodle. Now we tried and we deployed a clustered, scalable Moodle infrastructure, which is more elastic to support the new needs. In terms of network traffic, as probably in other campuses, incoming traffic decreased because of the deserted campuses, while outgoing traffic peaked to support online for students downloading content. And as you can see in the lower bottom diagram here, depicting the VPN connections, remote working exploded during the lockdown period around April. On student mobility, and based on a study of the Erasmus student network, and here I'm talking both for Greek and the European level, the student mobility was dramatically affected, with 1/4 of the mobility programs being cancelled. And the situation is getting worse. For example, in the fall semester, in my university, the student mobility is being reduced even further. Now it's minus 50%. And you can imagine why, because distance learning is a poor substitute for the experience to study abroad. Students are missing out lots of things like international exposure, opportunity to learn a foreign language, networking, access to job markets, and of course, fun. Now, what worked at Aristotle? Faculty adapted quite smoothly, I would say. Students adapted even better and quicker. New digital skills developed in a completely unprecedented way in a very short period. And from now on, remote working is the new norm. What didn't work at Aristotle? I would say that we're not sure what is going on right now with disadvantaged students, that if they were left behind, so we need to work this out. And no particular measures were taken to support, for example, students with hearing or visual disabilities. And for Greece, at least, and in other cases as well, I can imagine that loose student engagement throughout the semester, it's an element of the past. Now it has to change abruptly for both faculty and students, so that we avoid high-stake final exams at any price. Now, did we meet the expectations at Aristotle? I would say from a leadership point of view, the answer might be yes, given time and budget constraints. Up to now, at least. From now on, we don't have any excuse. And from the student's point of view, I would say in terms of learning outcomes, it hasn't been appraised yet. How about the centralized IT? We recently ran our annual survey on the quality of IT services, and we still get good grades from our users. But in terms of budgeting, we're facing lots of disruptions right now. The IT center is faced with a 16% escalation of annual expenses. You can imagine where this goes to help desk, to operations, moving overtime, shifting maintenance windows in late evening hours on Sundays, and new recruits. Now, we have 25 public higher education institutions in Greece, given the last mergers. A similar situation is recorded here. 96% of all courses have been delivered online in terms of e-learning. In terms of e-assessment, you can see both cases, totally online assessment, and in some cases a hybrid situation, some of them on the amphitheater, some on the online world. Now, we are faced with a couple of speculations. The one is the increase of exam participation of inactive students. We have quite a lot of inactives here in Greece. The other one is the increase of average GPA. These speculations have not been justified as of today. Still, individual cases have been reported that this speculation stands true. At the governmental level, Greece, you know, it's a country with weak ICT investments, probably because of the financial crisis. And the pandemic really helped. We had long-awaited reforms. And because of that, we have a brand new governmental e-government portal serving all citizens. So that's a good thing. We also had our National Digital Academy launched with open educational resources, for example, for developing digital skills. Additional budget for universities, relaxed public procurement, that was a good thing as well, a new tool, and centralized contracts negotiated by the level of the Ministry of Education with cloud providers. So I would say that all these measures could be attributed to the pandemic that worked as a facilitator again. And some conclusions and the way forward. We know that the new thing is the hybrid model, what we call the blended learning. This is going to be the new normal. So we have to prepare ourselves with new strategies and virtual culture. Workflows in the universities should be reconsidered, courses should be redesigned. In terms of student engagement, continuous assessment should be encouraged so that we avoid high-stake final exams. This is a very important thing. In terms of faculty, we have quite a lot of ICT needs for faculty so that they take advantage of all the available tools that they have now. Don't forget that you can train and involve postgraduates or PhD candidates to get some help from there, either as e-learning coaches or e-exam evaluators. You still need more IT infrastructure. IT infrastructure is never enough. You can continue to build or outsource on or off premises depending on your local policy. You need virtual labs. This is somewhat forgotten in the previous semester. You need your students to design and conduct experiments rather than just learn about experiments through a PowerPoint presentation. And in order to monitor your progress, you need a new quality assurance plan on virtual education. And some final remarks. It is evident, even for countries like Greece with low technology advancements or weak ICT investments, technology is not the issue. Probably it's your staff that needs to be accustomed about this type of technologies, but technology, all in all, is not the issue. But don't forget, learning content doesn't get better being just served by an LMS. Apart from technology, you need to rethink how to improve your pedagogical part of the learning process. The pandemic is intensifying learning inequalities, so leave no student behind. But where is the campus fun? It's not only the formal education. We need to invest in extra curriculum activities. For example, closed campus social media solutions, virtual meetups between faculty and students, so that you give students a sense of campus belonging, somehow to maintain campus community. And last but not least, faculty and staff time schedule is practically ruined. It's not 9 to 5 anymore, so we need to establish new norms on staff availability and raise student user awareness. We may turn a crisis into an opportunity. We actually needed a crisis to take brave and long-awaited decisions and move things forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonas, for your presentation. It's very interesting. I can share a little bit my personal or semi-personal experience, because my son at the moment is in the Sungkyung University in Suwon in an Erasmus program. So he has almost similar issues like you. And as you know, Sungkyung University is supported by Samsung. So you are right. The technology is not the issue at the moment. Yeah. So again, thank you for your presentation. And now we still stay in Greece. It's now a presentation from Emmanuel Zagrafakis about municipality of Dionysos. Dionysos is a very small city northeast from Athens. It's the capital city of Greece. So, Emmanuel, it's your time now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. It was very good, your introduction. So let me share now my screen. Respected doctors, dear alumni, thank you for inviting me to this conference on 10th Symposium of Green Smart Development and Vision of Seoul National University, and giving me the opportunity to talk for the innovation and inclusive growth as a way to achieve a more sustainable way for my city, Dionysos. I spent 40 years as IT engineer, Department of Information System of Ministry of Justice, and currently I'm working in a content creation of a risk management model for sustaining digital city of Dionysos municipality. Dionysos vouches for people robustness. A smart city enhances the citizen lifestyle, and therefore the resident stamina and endurance on difficulties is outstanding. This presentation could be deemed as a discussion on the below issues. The region got its name from God of the great harvest and winemaking. Everyone knows that the most beautiful temple in the Acropolis of Athens, the Parthenon, this marvel of architecture beauty, which as the years go by becomes more valuable, was built like many other famous historical sites by Dionysos Pedeli Mandos. Biodiversity is a great natural asset in the area of Dionysos. The rich fauna should also be exaggerating. The rich vegetation along with the lush green mountain tells account for Dionysos-specific architecture, which is different from the one which prevailed in other suburbs in Attica. That diversified architecture attracts tourists and visitors. European policy, it's important to stress out in the 5 priorities: Smart Europe, a more connected Europe, greener carbon-free Europe, Europe close to citizens, a more social Europe. South Korea, of course, is a perfect paradigm. South Korea sets the paradigm for a smart city development. South Korea is building smart cities global network to open the future of sustainable smart cities with countries around the world, sharing countries' policies and experience. The Dionysos project continues to be a joint effort. Dionysos municipality authorities and the respective authorities of National and Kapodistina University of Athens has decided to work together on research in order to come up with innovative ideas which could be put into effect, aiming to transforming the city of Dionysos into a smart one. The joint effort is being sealed. The main objective of this collaboration is to recycle a joint effort with a view to developing a technological solution for smart cities. It is important to stress on the fact that the National and Kapodistina University of Athens is technologically eligible to draw up an integrated plan for the effort transformation, having been participated into many respective projects. The collaboration has led to development of a common strategy with the premises as we will see below. The evolution. On 2016, birth of an idea. On 2020, creation of a business plan for digital city. And on 2021-2027, founding Dionysos. The objective of the Department of Digital City, this need for new service, departments and offices has been identified. The entire process is being controlled and monitored by the Department of Digital City, the objectives of which are presented in this slide. Premises, the establishment of the Smart City Department, below goals have been further analyzed in order to come up with essential pillar on which the development of the Smart City is based. The ICT sector assumes a cardinal role given that the use of ICT reach to a plethora of avails, some of which are present in that slide. Of course, the data center is the backbone of the development, taking over the entire development process. Innovative management systems lead to green development. For smart urban mobility, smart fleet management system, municipal education commit, management service, environment, and smart water management system, data governance and management, budget data publishing, and healthcare management. The integrated system controlled by the data center has been broken down into some cardinal subsystems. These systems are demonstrated into this slide. E-learning is an important priority in the context of a smart city. We encourage our community to share homeschooling and online learning resources that support student learning and well-being. Distance learning is the most suitable tool to keep our students and teachers in touch aiming to difficult conditions prevailing in our country. We start a large project, which the success is vital contribution of all those involved education. Let's continue to the publication of budget data. The need for publishing the budget data has been identified. Covering the need contributes to greater transparency and greater people's involvement. The value of open data of the municipality of Dionysos is from the performances funding municipality, community, and municipality authority. Here we can see the budget of Dionysos annual, municipality of annual. Total, our inputs comes around to 70 million euro. Publishing the budget data for the last 2 years, 2020 and 2019, 2020, has added up the entire expedient's transparency. The budget data publishing process is so thorough that the categories of budget data are compared across content. Also, this is a graphical illustration adding up to the profoundness of the budget data publishing meaning. Now, healthcare data management. Many doctors all over the world have stressed on the need for a healthcare data management system. Dionysos project puts that idea into effect. Smart Fleet Management System. The Smart Fleet Management System guarantees a smoother transport experience. The web application for the Fleet Management Office, it will be aimed primarily at offices and fleet management departments that manage the Dionysos municipalities' fleets. The goal is to facilitate the execution of daily tasks easily, quickly, and well organized, providing a complete digital solution. Smart urban mobility. Transport problems are being dealt through the collaboration of the Smart Fleet Management System with the Smart Urban Mobility. At the same time, through the upgrade traffic management in the central axis of the municipality of Dionysos, the system will reduce the negative impact of gas use. The direct involvement of the citizen in the planning of his movement will give the right but also the opportunity to actively contribute in upgrading the quality of the city environment. The water safety plan for smart system. Water is the basic ingredient to the preservation of life. The water management system ensures that the most valuable life asset will by no means be squandered. The modular cloud-based system will provide the water management body with the requisite electronic tools so that a more efficient use of the existing human resources will be achieved. The system will also offer citizens the opportunity to be visually aware of their consumption through the employment of interactive e-payment sites. These sites will provide citizens with statistical data related to their consumption. The e-payment sites will also advise consumers on optimal water management. The entire management system has been delegated with the responsibility to take care of daily issues in order to provide a cleaner and better environment for citizens. Environment Protection Authority, Municipality of Dionysos. Green City Strategy Plan development to highlight where improvement is needed. Let's focus in civil protection volunteerism. Volunteer. The mission of the volunteer firefighter is the safety and protection of life and property of citizens. The natural environment, and particularly the forests of our municipality, from the dangers of fires and natural disasters and other disasters. It's a real very serious, these persons which make all this job without pay. Novobile also, in collaboration with other systems, vouches for the environmental upgrade of Dionysos City. Processing of the curve of requests. The graph shown here shows the citizen and other bodies requests for a specific problem solving. Citizens and other bodies could send their requests for a specific problem solving action, and the entire management system in collaboration with Novobile respond to the request, and thereby citizens and bodies play a cardinal role in the management process. The graph is an illustration of the frequency and the multitude of this question. We have most frequent requests by the fields, Also, the graph shown here shows the stresses of the quick response. And also, here we have the citizen digital literacy ability. Another very serious field for the smart cities is the quality of life. The enhancement of the lifestyle has been the greatest priority of the Commit for Quality of Life. This commit cooperates with the management system and the respective department in order to direct the administrative team into taking the requisite action. In parallel manner, this commit is delegated with the responsibility to assess the impact of the use of any technological innovation on citizen social life. The Commit for the Quality of Life has stressed on the impact of Internet on people's social life. Therefore, the need for a better Internet services have been identified, and it has been covered by materializing fiber communication at home. The integrated system, and more specifically, the data center takes on the responsibility to provide the entire management system with vital indices, indicating the success of its development territory and the need of liable results. In this case, the vulnerability reduction through the indicators will be an important contribution to the sustainable development process in the municipality of Dionysos. And the last is that the risk model municipality of Dionysos is the integrated system, and more specifically, the data center takes of the responsibility to provide the entire management system with vital indices. Of course, the indicating the success of its development territory is the need of liable itself, and provide by the data center could indicate each subsystem successful operation. Those indicators will be further analyzed in order to come up with a risk model which will decide on the percentage of the entire project successful culmination. The way the risk model operates is not presented on the ground because the risk model verification process in the pipeline. And my last is the Dionysos Smart City development is drawn in here. All systems having been mentioned constitution subsystem which will be integrated into a generic government system based on cloud computing capabilities. The success of the entire expedient will be assessed through the risk monitoring process. In the event of the expansion of the risk index, appropriate results will be made of the organization, administrative and technological level. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for your speech, for your presentation. And now it's turn for Monika Alicia Mlinek. She is living in a city of Knurów. It's the city of South Polonia, south region of Poland. It's named Silesia. And Monika, it's your turn now.
Thank you very much. So let me tell you today about the sustainability towards employees and local communities as a responsible answer to COVID-19. So, as you know, in the breaking news about the coronavirus and about how highly infectious it is, how deadly it is, and the sudden lockdown, we could see all the fear, all the chaos, all the disorganization, and hashtags with social distancing and stay at home all over the social media. So due to the World Health Organization and our governments, there is the guidance for the companies and the institutions what they can do to avoid spreading the coronavirus among their employees. So we can see that We should wear the mask, we should wear gloves and the uniforms, we should keep the distance between our employees, we should facilitate all the hand sanitizers all over the place, the workplace. Everybody who can work from home office, they should do it. All the companies, the production lines and the institutions, they should minimize the number of employees that are in the companies, in the office or on the production floor. We don't have meetings in person anymore, especially with our customers. Everything is via Zoom like now, or via the Skype for businesses. In some time, some companies also decided on the production shutdown, like Opel production, and some companies facilitated by the governments, they were able to join the or apply for the furlough. But some companies that are more socially responsible wanted to take a step forward towards their employees and the local communities. The example of the company is IKEA, particularly the IKEA in Glasgow. So what they did, under the lockdown, they transformed from the retail store to logistics center. So in this case, they could still stay open and they could still hire all the employees and also serve the customers. So how it worked? Customers purchased the goods online, of course paid online, and on the parking spot, there are some numbered spots where people could actually take their order. So the customers, they even didn't need to leave the car. They weren't in any way in the risk of getting the infection, and they could safely just pick up the goods. When the IKEA opened again, they introduced the one-way system. So what it means in practice? So you cannot forget your shopping list. This is the thing. So you just enter the shop, the store, through one entrance and you just go forward. You cannot go back. If you forget something from the previous department, you just need to leave IKEA and enter it again. It's very safe because it helps you to keep the distance between the customers. You still can follow the other people who are in the store, but you can see them and you can just keep the distance by yourself. Moreover, they kind of opened a new position, but practically they involved their current employees, just some part of employees, as the social distancing warden. So the employee was just keeping the order and checking if people are wearing masks, if they are wearing gloves, if they are not coming back, if they are not trying to return somewhere. The other thing what IKEA did, they accept only non-cash payments. So via traditional card, via PayPal, via your phone, whatever application you have, everything works. Just no cash payments, because through the cash you can transfer the values. Of course, masks are required for the employees and the customers as well. The hand sanitizers are everywhere. When you enter the store, when you want to leave the store, also somewhere in the middle of the store, you can just disinfect your hands everywhere and every time you want to, you feel like. As you know, IKEA has also the restaurant, right? So in the restaurant, there was a 2-meter distance between tables. The tables were in the same direction, so people were not sitting face to face, but they were facing their back. So it also helped to avoid the spread of the virus via your mouth, right, while eating. You need to reserve the table, you need to book it first. And when you book it, you are automatically in the program Track and Save. track and trace. And it means that for 21 days, they keep your personal data. Why they do it? Because if there is the case of the coronavirus in the IKEA, or if they get information that one of the people who came to the store, to the restaurant, tested positive, they know exactly who they should also trace via the system and ask for testing or for the quarantine. So this is just for the safety. The other thing is the furlough that is very interesting in IKEA. Furlough is the kind of the governmental support for the companies who apply for it. What means that the government pays 80% of the salary to the employee. IKEA applied for it, IKEA in Glasgow applied for it. They got 80% financing from the government, and they added additional 10% by themselves. But the very interesting thing is that actually they didn't need to do it. They weren't in such a bad situation. They didn't go bankrupt. So actually, after some time, they said that they didn't need this furlough, and they announced that they will give this 80% of the salaries of each employee that got it, they will give it back to the government. So this is what actually they did. The other example of the company is Lafarge Poland. Lafarge is the company that produces concrete. So what they did, they donated 150,000 gloves and 15,000 masks for 1,500 employees for the private use. And why is it so important? So at the beginning of the pandemic, especially in Poland, there was the huge shortage of masks and gloves. People just couldn't buy it. We couldn't get it. We couldn't get this one-use face mask. We couldn't get the gloves. When we wanted to get them, the prices were terrible. They were so expensive and in shortage that it was very difficult to obtain them. But we needed them, right? So Lafarge decided to donate them for their employees, not only to use them at their workstation, but also privately. They also appointed 60 coordinators who are supposed to take care of the prevention of getting sick in the company. And they conducted the open communication between the management and workers. Why is it so important? Because at the beginning was the chaos and everybody was afraid that because of the lockdown, they will just lose their jobs. So when the company conducted this open dialogue, the workers had this feeling of safety, that they are not going to lose their job, and they knew exactly what was going on in their company, in their workplace. So it was something what was very good for the mental health and for the safety of the employees. They also had this program, Zadbajmy o siebie, so let's take care of each other. They had all the online available videos informing employees how they should deal with stress, how to properly work at home and efficiently work at home, how to also relax, to not be so stressed all the time, how to remotely manage the dream team. It was mostly directed to the management board, to the managers, how to take care of everything and organize everything. And what they had, what I think is very nice, I need a water break. Is that they had the virtual coffee break. So the virtual coffee break is the idea that that usually when you are at work and you have the coffee break, you can spend it with your coworkers. And you can just have this social break, this the social connection between people. When we were under the lockdown or we were working from our home office, we didn't have this opportunity. So the company opened the rooms, the chat rooms, like even now, the Zoom, for each department. And employees from this department, they could meet at the usual time of their coffee break and just have this virtual coffee and discuss of the matters that were very important to them. Another thing what it did something for their customers. And the people who were working with. So they issued the COVID-19 guidance, which included the general rules that the contractors should apply while cooperating with Lafarge, and also for the construction site. Moreover, they reduced the number of employees on site to the minimum to avoid spreading of the virus. No guests were allowed. So people who usually came to the company as potential partners, they also had to conduct all the meetings via Zoom tools. No drivers with symptoms allowed, so they every time check the temperature and ask all the drivers to fill out the form about their health conditions, so if they were coughing recently and this kind of questions. And also there was the limited contact, there is still the limited contact between on-site workers and drivers. So they automatized all the things, all the activities that could be automatized, for example, the concrete batch, and limited this contact between people. The other thing is what they did, and it was for customers. They facilitated them the free of charge 2 months unlimited access to audiobooks and podcasts. So they just gave them the login to the platform, and actually people could entertain themselves. It was part of the program for the mental health. And also they distributed 240 board games to customers to just help them to spend the time with their families. Because we had also the homeschooling at the time. So this was one of the facilities for the customers and kind of help how they can spend the time with their children. The last thing about Lafarge in Poland is that they donated 800 safety uniforms and 10,000 masks for 4 hospitals. Because the shortage of masks and uniforms and gloves, it's been still with us, and the hospitals, they are just using them like crazy because you know that they have a lot of sick people in there, and it's not so easy to just obtain all the needed equipment. They also donated 100 masks and 1,000 gloves. Plus, they were the part of the local program in Małgorzata. So the local government in Małgorzata, they wanted to make sure that all the citizens of the city, they just get the masks. So they donated the funds, the money, for this local program. So people were actually sewing the cotton masks for all the citizens of this place. In Barcin, also in the city, they donated 50 masks and 20 safety goggles. So this is something what the company did for the local community, for their customers, and for their employees. And I think that my time is over. So let me thank you for your attention and for your time. You can contact me via email, of course, and I hope that all of you will stay healthy and safety. Thank you.
So thank you, Monica, for your presentation. It's a very nice example, and I see the Polish situation is was in a spring very similar to Czech Republic. Unfortunately, the Czech Republic now it's a very bad example how to deal with pandemic situation with COVID. Anyway, I can share some very nice examples of Czech inventions against the COVID. One of them at the moment is on my face, is the face mask. So let's try my presentation. So just a question if you see my my presentation. So my presentation is about some inventions. So if we check the situation in COVID, with COVID in spring 2012, it's a very big shortage of protection material all Europe. It's lack of face masks, protection shields, shortage of medical equipment, and based of the some limitation, the traditional worldwide supply chains were very unstable. So the production of was decreased. Big transportation issues. But if you check what can help the industry 4.0 do, the first example is RP95 face mask. It was mask which was designed for medical and rescue staff by CRC of Czech Technical University research team with RECAPE Center. The mask was invented in two lines. The first mask body was printed on special 3D printers from HP. But the second issue was to prepare the same mask for the industrial production. This mask is designed for external filter, and you can anybody can make special adapters or prints to do adapters for the local filter standards. The mask has now the EN 140 certification and meets the same or higher degree of protection as FP3 respirators. Is the mask on the face of one of the inventors. You can see the external filter, and the mask is on the face. Very interesting is the timeline. And March 13 is very first idea to develop of the 3D printed first-class protection mask. Just a day after, the first 3D model was ready. Next 3 days, the first prototype of 3D printed mask was on table, and next day the certification tests were initiated. March 21st, so in 1 week, this mask got the safety certificate of the product. And end of March, the 3D print data was published on www.3rp95cz. And just 1 month after first prototype, the 3D printed production launched. Meantime, the CE certification for injection molding version was finished in June then. So the 3D printed version need MGF technology. It's HP multi-jet fusion sometimes only, but the M version is adapted for the injection molding. So it's very nice repeatable and can be produced in any place with a simple technology in the world. This mask has certification, CE certification for Europe, and more information is can be available through the company Trix. It's the spin-off company of Czech Technical University. In the summary, it's the reusable mask. It's can be sterilized in autoclave, alcohol-based disinfectant, or in ultraviolet light. Can be adaptable for different filters, so it cannot be just only against the COVID, but it can be used for any industrial or any life situation when the filters are important. The version of 3D printers is available for free. Just you need to have this printer, and the Czech Technical University is asking for the serial number of the printer, so it's not available for anybody, but for any owner of this printer. It's about 1,000 these printers worldwide. But the injection molding version is ready for mass production worldwide. It's based on the some license negotiation with Czech Technical University, and more information are in these sites. The second example, it was in my introduction speech. It is a protection shield. Again, it was designed for the medical staff in the time when no this shields was available in the Czech Republic. It can be printed on any FDM printer, so it's the standard printer from Prusa Research, for example. The recommended material is standard PETG, and there are two parts. It's the printed parts and the transparent. The transparent part can be used, the clear covers for binding machine, so it's the general office issue supplement, so it's nothing special. And again, this mask can be certified against the European norm 166 for the protection against drops and sprays protection class 3. How to each, because it's not so easy, but it's possible, and then Prusa Research pages are possible how to certificate this shield. So you can see in the Czech hospitals how this shield is used. As you can see, the mask for the covering of mouth and nose, it was the same problem in the Czech Republic like in Poland. So in the right picture, you can see different homemade cotton masks. Again, the timeline was very fast. The development started in March 16. Within 2 days was first version. Within in 10 days was the final third and final version optimizer for 3D printers. And because in US are different formats, so it was prepared the US version as well for the North American market. And since June 6 is the Pro version with this EN certification, and the universal version for the US and Europe as well. Again, this summary is reusable. It's optimal sterilization in ultraviolet, but alcohol-based disinfectant or autoclave is possible as well. The autoclave is based on the material. If you check the statistics on the Prusa development site, it's over 260,000 downloads of models, of all models, included source codes, many modifications. But because it's with source codes, anybody can modify this model itself. Over 300,000 masks or shields were distributed just by Prusa Research. It's a company for 3D printers, and since April they produce only shields. The independent distribution by Czech Scouting Movement, so it's totally independent on the Czech government, this distribution, and it's working very well. And I personally printed more than 300 shields on my 3D printers in my home. And more information, again, it's here. The third example is the lung ventilation. It's designed for medical staff, but it can be used. It's Corovent. It's a very interesting device because it's again created by the Czech Technical University, and it's something what it's a project where Elon Musk was not successful as well. But this is a successful issue. At the moment, more than 200 are produced for the Czech Republic. But again, the timeline is very fast and very interesting. The development started in the middle of March. It's based on crowdfunding. Crowdfunding started just for about $300,000 for first 100 Corovents, but in 24 hours was this project fully supported just from the private funds only. There is no contribution from the Czech government again. But till end of the crowdfunding event, more than $600,000 was collected. So 182 Corovents was produced. Then one Czech private company ordered 50 next. In August 2012, the FDA certification for emergency use in US was, and the full European certification was finished this week. So you can the emergency use certification for European Union is finished this week, and the full certification is in progress. What is interesting for Korea, the distribution agreement for selected territories was signed with Korean found KHIND. About the summary, it's the cost-effective lung ventilator. It's 5 times more effective, cheaper than the normal lung ventilator. It's made here in the Czech Republic from European components only. So it's again, it's relative local manufacturing. It's fully crowdfunded and was created with the Czech Technical University and private companies. We have the US and European certification for emergency use only, and full certification is in progress. The more information is in Mycomedical CZ page. So, thank you. It's it's end of my presentation. It's we are almost in time. So thank you for your attention, and see you next time.